actually 3, right?
Mm.
Ellen,
Oh,
Caitlin, Eric.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Bingo. All right, well, regardless of hitting the gavel, at 4:31 p.m., meeting is called to order. And hello, everyone. Hello, guests. Yeah, 1 week left to go, and we've got the semester done, and it's our last meeting of the semester. So we've made it. It's been a journey, but we've made it. So I'm gonna hand it over to VP Shockey to do roll call right now. VP Shockey.
President Green,
Here.
VP Labella,
Here.
VP Linder,
Here.
Advisor Room,
Present.
Senator Baca, Senator Tardelli, Senator Jones,
Here.
Senator Konsinski,
Here.
Senator Willis, Senator Zebo,
Present.
and Senator James.
Present. Senator Tardelli's on now.
She is on.
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry.
Missed you by a person.
Good. Let's go.
All right, awesome. Then moving down, correction and approval of the previous meeting's minutes. Did we get minutes?
Yes, so I'll hold them like right
Can you
now.
just throw them into the chat? So it looks like we have minutes, everyone. So, and VP Shock is on top of it. So we'll give it a minute here or so. Just bear with us. And whenever he uploads it into the chat, everyone knows the drill. Take a look-see. And then when everyone's ready, or whomever is ready, I will entertain a motion at any time to approve them.
Here in the chat.
VP Labella, is that a motion to approve?
Yes.
All right, and Senator Zhang, is that a second, it looks like?
Yes.
All right, all those in favor, please use the hand raising feature now and keep your hands up, please. And yeah, that's like definitely everyone right there. You can put your hands down, that motion passes, and we've approved the minutes. Moving on down, new corrections and approval of tonight's agenda. Same thing, take a look-see, and whenever you're ready, I will entertain that motion. And Senator Zhang, just use your hand still up, or is that me?
Oh, no, I'm just keeping that up for the new.
For the agenda?
Yes.
So you're making a motion to approve the agenda?
Yes.
Oh, then you're the fastest one. That's awesome. Senator Jones, is that a second then?
Yeah, that's a second.
All right, same thing. All those in favor, please use the hand raising feature now and keep your hands up. And I still believe that it's like still most everyone. So that's majority right there. So you can put your hands down and the agenda has passed. And now moving down to public comments, we are so lucky to have Lucille with us again. And you've got a good 15 minutes on the clock for you, and take it away whenever you're ready. The camera's right there,
Behind the
so it might be best if you kind of like, yeah, you face kind of this way or angled somewhat like that.
Like here? Oh, here we
Yeah.
go, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's weird, because
I know, isn't it a little
it's a
weird?
strange thing. I'll look this way. Well, this is my last meeting, to Student Senate, so I really wanted to thank you all. It has been the leadership of students, time and time again, in the 6 years that I've been here, that have really pushed me, right? In thinking about gender identity, that was, think back on some of the issues that were brought to the table by Senators, Sean, I forgot Sean's.
Chadley.
Yeah, think about, issues of food insecurity, issues of, undocumented or DACA students not being able to access and having fear. It's always been the Student Senate that really has brought forth some key issues that we need to address as an institution and be responsive to you all, the students. So I wanted to say goodbye. I wanted to give thanks and appreciation to just the incredible work that you all do and how you keep us in the administration and how you've kept me particularly really on my toes and thinking about how do we change this institution to meet your needs as students so that you're successful here, so that this institution works for you. So again, I wanted to say thank you. Today's my last day, so I just wanted to make sure I was here. And thank you all.
Yeah, that's fine. I did write something. It's not that long and it's not even that great, but I wanted to write this and just do my best. So bear with me on it. But I wrote it, so that's why I'm sticking to what I wrote. During my time as a senator, then as president, Student Senate has been very lucky for the help and guidance that you've given us. We were constantly supportive in Senate's goals and initiatives, in particular the Racial Equity Initiative, for which you played a major role in. New trainings on diversity, equity, and inclusion were shaped in a manner that allowed us to do our jobs as representatives of the student body better and with more understanding and compassion. We will always be grateful to you for that, and you have left an impact on me, the entire Senate, and all the students, both past and present. We are sad to see you leave, but we are excited for your future endeavors. So thank you. Does anyone else have anything that they would like to say? And this is the one weird part about technology, because it's like that awkward silence pause right there. But I thought I'd just give this any of the rest of this time for anyone who wants to share anything or whatnot. I know if Katrina was with us, I know she would definitely be sharing something like she did yesterday in College Assembly, which was awesome. But yeah, I definitely wanted to write that because we were very lucky, and we both, as the moments where we had you, Jim Falco, Nina Schultz, and Sean and Marquardt, where we did that regional campus subcommittee of College Assembly last year. It was really enjoyable, and it really you allowed me to be able to just have a conversation with you. Always constantly bringing up points that just allowed me to kind of put things in perspective and really reanalyze them and then use that again, be a better person and a better leader. So we're very lucky that you gave us this opportunity to get to know you.
This is an amazing group, so I really appreciate working and what you do for all the students. So thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else? Yeah, I'm giving it one last opportunity here. I hope that you're hanging out with us. I hope that you're hanging out with us for this last time. I think it would be awesome if you could. But we know that as your last day. Sarah Zebel, you have something to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to say we appreciate what you've done through us. I mean, I've been on here for 3 years now, and you've done a lot for us and for the school. And I just wanted to say it means a lot to us. And someone's going to have some very big shoes to fill when you leave.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, cool. Well, yeah, will you hang out with us? I mean, if you got someplace to be, I definitely understand that as well, but I would love it if you hang out with us this last time as well. So
Wait, I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
if you want to hang out with us for this last,
Well,
if you got
I still
someplace
have
to go.
to clean off my my office is still a mess, so I'm gonna run back, before I leave finally, but,
Definitely.
thank you so much again. I really, best of luck for all of you, and I know I'll see you again. I know.
I'm
Okay.
hoping, I'm betting on it. See you later,
Peace out
Lucia.
here.
All right, we're gonna move on down now to the textbook rental program update with Sylvia and Holly. Sylvia and Holly, it's 4:41. You got 20 minutes. Take it away.
Thank you. Let me just pull up the presentation. It's just going to take a second, sorry. So we're excited to be here to give you an update on the textbook rental program. Sorry that says October. We've been giving this presentation for a couple months. We're just going to walk through a brief presentation, a brief discussion of the program. Some of you may remember or know more about it than others, and then we'll discuss a little bit about how things have worked in practice and some of the lessons learned. And then Holly, as Sean mentioned, is here, and she's the Associate Manager for Bookstore Operations and co-chair of the college's Textbook Affordability Committee. And she's going to help collect your interests and experiences as we look ahead to the future of the program. In particular, we're exploring an opportunity to fold in one-time use materials in a way that's equitable and cost-effective for all the students. And we want to make sure we have a firm understanding of everyone's interests as we explore this opportunity. So this program originally began out of Student Senate's efforts over 10 years ago to call attention to the issue of textbook affordability. The student senators were eventually connected with the Student Affairs Council, and as a team, they worked collectively to develop the rental program, making a recommendation to the college assembly that was accepted and moved on to the president. The president approved, and we began working through the implementation. One of the first things that we had to do during implementation is have the students vote. So there was a referendum held to add the textbook rental fee, and students did vote in favor of doing that, which is then how we got to the rental program. But to step back, we launched the program to meet numerous interests, including one I've mentioned already, which is affordability, but it was also done with an eye towards supporting student success by ensuring that faculty had academic freedom, which means the ability to pick materials that support the student learning outcomes for their courses and that have a positive effect on students' experience with Madison College. And so this work wasn't achieved solely through the textbook rental program, but also through other work within shared governance like the textbook adoption policy. So here's the information about the referendum. Students overwhelmingly voted in favor of the textbook rental program. And so then in November 2018, and then the bookstore team began implementation. The program was up and running about 6 months later for the summer of 2019. In order to launch the program, a team that spanned well beyond the bookstore into various areas of the college, including budget, financial aid, student financials, technology services, and others, worked together to hit key milestones, including establishing the fee amount, implementing technology enhancements, renovating physical space to allow for the storage of more materials, creating the Textbook Affordability Committee, which helps oversee the program, and conducting individualized, in-depth discussion with every academic program to ensure that they understood how their materials fit into the program or whether it made more sense for their program to opt out, because the goal was to ensure that we had the best financial outcomes for students. The program's done well so far in meeting the established goals. Each semester, we produce a textbook rental report, the most recent of which you can see right now. Nearly 82% of eligible students rented their books, which is great, because if students don't rent their books and then buy them elsewhere, then they're paying the rental fee and buying the books, which is the last thing we want. The average rental fee paid per book is about $32, and it compared to an average new book price of $116. So basically what that's saying is that the rental program is saving students significant money over purchasing those books new. And we also have over 90% of students returning their books, which is huge because we know that other colleges reported that their programs were harmed by significant non-return rates. So there were so many books not returned, they couldn't sustain their program. Please do encourage your peers to return their books though, because we'd love to get it to 100%. So we've received positive feedback from students in our student surveys and our outreach to students. You all have expressed appreciation for the savings, the program making things a little bit easier. And one important note is that in the past, students shared with us that they didn't buy books because of cost. And this program has significantly helped with that. We know that you all need your course materials as early as possible to be successful in the semester. And we're trying to use this program to make sure that it's easy for you all to access those materials. One other note is that right before the pandemic closure, we started a website redesign project for the bookstore. The timing couldn't have been more fortuitous because we had a new, cleaner, and easier to navigate site up when we had to move to fully online ordering. We know that the transition to COVID operations made for a really tough fall 2020 term. So if you were here then, I apologize for any struggles that you had getting your materials. That did not meet our customer service standards. And through the work of Holly and a lot of other folks on her team, we've come up with numerous strategies and had many significant successful semesters since then, while still adhering to all of the safety guidelines. So overall, we're happy with the program. We also know that there's continuous improvement needed. This slide details some of the major improvements we've made. As one of the biggest ones being making it easier for you to find your textbook information within the student system. So we know we still have bigger changes we need to make, not the awesome and excellent continuous improvement, but potentially major changes. We're in the process of assessing if there's demographic differences in which students pay fees and fines associated with the rental program. We're working to, we actually did finally diversify the textbook affordability committee. And as we, and under Holly's leadership, we've established a new strategic direction for TAC, which is focused, TAC is the Textbook Affordability Committee, which is focused on one-time use materials. And we're also looking at doing an evaluation to examine the relationship between the rental program and student success. What we want to hear from you, though, is how do you feel about the rental program? What are your big interests? What are your concerns? What are your hopes? What are your dreams? What do you like? What should we do more of? And we're really just here to hear from you. For full transparency, we've talked to the college cabinet, we've spoken with the college assembly, and we've met with the academic council of shared governance. And so we've gotten some feedback, but I expect that you all will have the most applicable feedback. So also, if you have questions about how anything works, ask them. I won't answer any of them, but Holly's here and she'll answer all of them for you. All right, I'm going to stop talking. Do you guys have any questions?
Anyone have any questions? Well, you can definitely tell it's the last meeting of,
Everybody's prepping for finals. Do you guys have anything that you love about the rental program or anything that you absolutely don't like at all? We promise it won't hurt our feelings.
Senator Jones.
Hey, I love the program. I think that it's like one of the best programs that I've seen. It's really made my life easier, and textbooks are such a big expense in college, and they're such a dreaded expense. And it's really nice to have this thing, which I'll never read any of these textbooks again after I graduate. So I think that it's like such a good program, and it's really helped me out, and I think it's helped a lot of students out. So thank you so much.
That's great. Anyone else have anything that they want to add? Is that okay? Here's a good question I think might be helpful. Can all the senators raise their hands that utilize something that with the textbook rental program? And you just use the hand raising feature right now, that would be great. And I will also put my hand up as well, because I utilize it. So there's my hand too. So hopefully that kind of gives, you can put your hands down now. Hopefully that gives both Sylvia and Holly some concept of how many senators in this meeting utilize the program. Senator Zhang, you have a question? Or your hand is still up by mistake? No? All right.
So one question we had for you all is about one-time use materials like access codes, workbooks, things like that. So I assume that you all are purchasing those now, or maybe you're skipping them, but what do you think about if we were trying to expand the program to incorporate those materials? Does that make sense? Is that something that worries you? And maybe Holly can talk a little bit about the work we've done so far looking at that.
Maybe either one of you, I don't know, maybe Holly, I don't know, either one of you, I think would definitely be qualified in answering this question. But give an example of something that would be like a one-time use. I know you said access codes, but I guess in a situation or scenario where we could relate to it, students can relate to it.
Yeah, so we are looking at any required course materials that are currently not in the rental program. So that could be your lab manual for anatomy and physiology. That could be an access code for your math course. That could be inclusive access where you go directly into your Blackboard course site for accounting or marketing. That could be a workbook that you're using for your medical terminology course. That could be a specific book if you're in a tax course that gets updated every year because tax code changes. So those would all be currently one-time use materials that are required for your course, but are currently not part of the rental program.
That's perfect. That was perfect examples there. Sarah Chaudelli, I saw your hand up. Did you have a question?
Yeah, I guess I had a question, comment. Regarding the one-time use materials, I'm a definitely fan of it. I like to use online resources, so I understand that there was maybe going to be a fee increase with that. So that's something to think about. On the flip side of things, not to be the negative Nancy, but I haven't actually checked out any of my textbooks this semester. I just didn't need them, but I was still assessed the fees. I understand that's just kind of necessary sometimes. One of my classes, I'll have to double check, if there was a textbook rental fee associated with this one class, but we didn't actually have a textbook. Our professor just provided his own resources for this class. So yeah, just some things to think about there. I get it. It's like a $15 fee per class or however many, $7 per credit. I can't remember what it is, but it's if we have to distribute that for everyone, regardless of whether they use the materials or not. That's just the way it has to go. Sometimes I get it. Just something to think about. And then again, with the online or one-time use materials, if it's something that expires, then it's a little less lucrative, in my opinion. But if it's like an online resource you can download, like a PDF copy of the textbook, I love those personally. I like being able to search for keywords and stuff. Just helps me. I like that. It's always on my laptop, always available. I don't have to lug around the big books. Yeah, just some thoughts. Thanks.
I see Senator Jones was next, and then Senator Willis.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea. I had a book in astronomy, I think, which we didn't use once, but we still had to pay for the thing. And I really like that idea of having those one-time uses. I think that could be beneficial. I don't think it's the most pressing thing, but I think that if you have the resources, it could be useful there.
Senator Willis.
My thought is when you think about equity and inclusivity, including the open resources helps remove a barrier for some students who may have financial issues at the beginning of the semester to get their resources. So I think it would definitely be a worthwhile investment, especially considering, like I said, and I'm thinking about students who are non-traditional, who may be career changing or something like that, and therefore having not having access to financial aid in order to cover their books, and therefore they have a financial barrier. And a lot of times the textbook rental program has actually saved a lot of students who were in that situation from getting behind in their classes, because I think most instructors, maybe the first week or two, don't use the book, but after that they require it, and some students are still not in the position to pay for it. So I think kudos to the textbook rental program. I didn't use it for my medical coding program, but I did I'm using it now for the program I'm in, which is human resources, because I won't need these books. And with the medical coding books, I needed my books as resources for my career. So just a thought. I just think it's great. So keep up the excellent work that you're doing.
VP LaBella.
I just wanted to add that also I have definitely benefited from this program, and it has been great. One suggestion that a few people here, especially Ben, will have heard me talk about before was calculators. For future class, I have to buy a calculator that's easily over $100, and that can be a big burden on a lot of students. And that would be a great thing to implement into a program like this someday. Just a suggestion.
It's funny you bring that up, because my husband and I both, at some point took calculus and had to buy fancy calculators, and we just found one of them. Like I don't think anybody's touched it in at least 10 years, and you're like, you're right. It would be a great item to rent, because I don't need that calculator again. Like I could use it for my class and return it, and somebody else could use it. And so, yeah, that's a really unique idea. I appreciate you bringing it forward. It's definitely something we can explore.
Yeah, I actually have a question on that. Like, that is a good idea. How long would it take to implement something like that? Like, to get like 10 or 20 calculators available through the technology rental program? If it got approved and passed, et cetera, and went through all the proper channels, like how long would it take to implement, if you could speculate on that?
I think it would depend if we ran it through the textbook rental program or like the technology loan program. But I supervise both, so I'll talk to both teams and see what's feasible. It might make more sense to have it go through technology access, in which case, generally we've been able to turn things around pretty quickly, because all we've ever done is respond to the pandemic. So, so we're good at being fast. Ben, did you have a question?
I was just going to add, because when I was doing some research about Andrew's question, I did find that the library does allow you to like check out calculators. So I just want to point that out as another resource for students if you weren't aware of that. They have some you can check out for short periods, I believe.
Yeah, that's a good addition. I do know that they loan them, but I don't know the loan time frame, like if it's a whole semester, if it's just a couple weeks.
Yeah, and I was thinking, if I think of anybody who does finances, I see two people on the screen right now who I'm thinking financial people. And if you're saying that you and your husband just found a calculator, then that leaves all the rest of us no hope of ever using those things. We're never going to be like thrown. All right, that was the joke of the day. So anyone have any other things or feedback that they would like to? Can you take them off campus? VP LaBella says.
I would guess yes, but I don't know.
Cool. Anyone else? Because we have 1 minute left. So that actually worked out very well. I think that's a good job, everyone. Not seeing anyone. All right, well, there's all three other people on the textbook rental committee right now in this meeting. So We definitely like to keep everyone in the Senate, updated as to what's going on. We do appreciate all the work that, the three of you in particular really are doing to help, make sure that students are getting the best, I don't know, bang for the buck, resources, I don't know, whatever, analogy I can pick out of my pocket right now, but you know what I'm saying. So I think with that being said, I'm going to say thank you both. And I'm going to try to pivot now to budget slight update now, because I see that there's another 20 minutes on the clock. I'm going to extend Holly the same thing I did to Lucia and say, hey, if you want to hang out, still out in this meeting, but I know it's at 5 o'clock on a Thursday. My nightly news is coming up at 5:30. All right. So I'm gonna let Sylvia and Ben take it away. It's 5:02 p.m. 20 minutes.
Thank you. So I'm back. I'm sure you all missed me so much. So we're just going to give you an update on the 2022-2023 initial budget. Some of you, because I know you're on assembly or in other, have seen this already, and so I'm sorry, it's the same presentation. But Ben's always engaging, so I'll hand it to him in just a minute. So where we are in the budget process is we're working with our cabinet to make recommendations to balance the budget. And so we do that work over the next couple months. And in full transparency, we kind of take a step back from doing a lot of that during the holiday break and during the very beginning of the semester, because folks are swamped with doing all the work that it takes to get the semester started. So the budget office has plenty to do, but we take a break from visiting with cabinet. And so we will connect with them later in January and give an update to the board in February. And we're happy to also come back and give you guys more updates. So our plan for today, though, is to walk through a little bit of background, talk about where we are with the current year budget, and then talk about the next year's budget. So there's a couple key factors that are underlying our updates, both for the current and the subsequent year budget. One is, I don't know if you've heard of it, there's a pandemic, and it continues to impact our enrollment. We are continuing to see enrollment declines in this current year, and with those, we're anticipating that'll continue into the next year. I felt more confident saying this like a month ago, but we were planning for more normalized health as of the fall of 2022. With Omicron, I'm not sure if that's, maybe we were overly optimistic. We do expect that there will be a lasting economic impact, and I'm sure you all have heard or experienced the effects of inflation, the impact there's been on wages for particularly entry-level positions. There's been a lot of people who have left the labor market and have yet to return, particularly women. And so that's having a big impact on things like schools and buses and nursing facilities and lots of places. And so we do expect that that is going to take a little bit longer to resolve. We have been fortunate that COVID-19 has not been impacting the new construction that's been going on in the Madison area, which is good for us because that increases the amount of revenue we can collect. And our funding from the state, which we call state aids, has remained stable. So that's also good news. So for this year, we did a budget modification with the board just a couple days ago. We let them know that we were lowering the budgeted revenue due to lower than expected enrollment, that we were seeing though tax levy growth, which is related again to that construction that we've been seeing. And then we've made some adjustments related to the COVID-19 impact and the federal funding that we received, which you may have heard referred to as like the CARES funding or the HERF funding. And it's that funding that we received that supports the student emergency grants, COVID relief grants. There's also an institutional portion that helps the college offset its costs related to responding to the pandemic. And so I saw, Joe, your question. So I can expand on net new construction. So the way it works in for our tax levy is that we have a cap on how much revenue we can collect. That cap is moved each year based on what's called net new construction. And what that is they look at construction and destruction of buildings throughout our district. So that's, we're all a part of 12 counties. So they look at across the whole district. And if the net is that more stuff went up than came down, then we get to capture a little bit of additional revenue on that property increase. And so we call it net new construction. There's other terms that you might hear for it, but that's just essentially a percentage of our revenue, our prior year revenue that we're allowed to collect because there was new construction. We're very fortunate. Of the 16 technical college districts, we've had historically the largest increase annually in net new construction, mostly due to the fact that Madison as a city is growing. And the one thing I will just note that's really important to know is that the net new construction can certainly be negative, right? Like you have more come down than you have go up. And you see that a lot in rural communities. So you can see negative construction, but we cannot see negative revenue. So the law says that you can't go below zero. So if there were a year where much more construction, many more buildings were just like taken down than went up, we would just get nothing, no increase in our tax levy. And so that's kind of the high level version of how it works. Does that make sense? All right, awesome. So I mentioned that we've lost some revenue. We had fortunately a little bit of growth to offset some of that loss, but we will also, we did take some funding from our contingency to offset that lost revenue. And you may have heard about the college contingency before. We budget 3% of our revenue in a line item that's called the contingency, and generally it is unallocated at the beginning of the year, meaning we do not have plans for it. And part of the reason we do that is because if something like this happens and enrollment declines, we don't have to do what you sometimes hear about other colleges doing, where they turn around and they start talking about canceling sections or laying off staff. We don't do that. We instead tap into the contingency, and the contingency, we just reduce that line item and then the budget stays balanced. The flip side of that is that if you have a year where things are great, right, then you're like, well, now you have a bunch of money. That money can then be used for strategic investments to help progress the institution forward. So it's sort of win-win for us, even though it does take work to maintain that contingency each year. And I already mentioned our federal COVID relief funding, where it makes sense and where it's allowable within the funding guidelines. We are moving expenses out of the general fund, which is where we fund most of our operations, and into that funding. And so I'm going to just talk a little bit about how we do our planning priorities before I hand it over to Ben to talk about how the budget, like what that budget actually looks like. So we try to align the budget. Each department submits their own budget. So each academic department at the school level submits their own budget. Those budgets align with what we call unit plans, which are those departmental plans for what they're going to do for the next couple years. Those align with the college's plans. So things like our diversity, equity, inclusion plan, our strategic plan, our academic plan. And all of those plans, of course, align with our mission, our vision, and our values. And so we want all those things integrated so that everything that we're doing is in alignment with our mission. So our priority categories, if you saw our presentation last year, they have not changed. They've just shifted. So we're continuing to focus on that equity lens and continuing to implement the departmental diversity, equity, and inclusion plans. And we're also continuing to look at COVID planning, but it's different now, right? When we were talking about COVID planning a year ago, we were talking about masks and screeners and HVAC filters, and some of that still happens, right? We still buy a lot of masks, and we still buy a lot of filters. But the conversation has evolved, and a lot of it is talking actually about how what we're going to sustain after we stop receiving the federal relief funding that we've been getting. We continue to do what we're calling thinking together. And a lot of that relates to the fact that we want to try to break down silos, stay connected, take advantage of a lot of the efforts that we put, we like on the faculty and staff side have put forward during the pandemic to stay connected and to support students, and continuing that work as we look ahead. The other thing that we continue and always focus on is our future needs. We want a stable and sustainable financial future. But in order to do that, we need to ensure that we're continuing to serve our mission and, of course, our students. And so as we develop the budget each year, we're always looking not just at what's happening in the current year, but what we expect the impacts to be in the future. And so with that, I'm going to hand it to Ben to talk about the budget.
Thank you, Sylvia. Good afternoon and good evening, everyone. My name is Ben Monty. I'm the budget director for the college. And I'm going to just go through some of the details of next year's budget. First, we're going to look on the revenue side. So we're focusing on the general fund budget, which is where most of our operations occur, as Sylvia had noted earlier. This slide is just showing you some of the different buckets of revenue that the college receives, noting like the property tax, the state aids, program fees, material fees. Those are the tuition that the students are paying. We also have some other categories out there. But just kind of give you an overview overall, for next year, we're projecting about $161.6 million, and that's slightly lower than what we had for our current modified budget, actually. And part of that is we are projecting right now that our enrollment will be slightly lower next year. So that is one thing that is factored into this right now. In terms of the assumptions that we're using, Joe, I really appreciate your question clarifying net new construction. So for next year on the revenue side, we're projecting a 4% increase in our tax levy due to net new construction. Our revenue also reflects some changes that the legislature enacted related to state aid. And so that's included in this budget. They actually increased what they call property tax relief fund. But as part of that increase, it did actually decrease our ability to increase our tax levy, but those kind of offset each other. In talking about enrollment, we think of students in terms of full-time equivalent students, which is one student taking 30 credits at the college. So for next year, we're projecting right now 6,800 full-time equivalent students. To put that in perspective for the current fiscal year, right now, we're projecting that we're going to end the year with about 7,000 full-time equivalent students. Right now, the budget does not include a tuition increase. Tuition is set by the Wisconsin Technical College system, and we usually receive that information usually later in the year, usually in March. So if they are going to increase tuition, then we will put it in the budget at that time. But right now, we have left it out and left it at zero. We're also just overall projecting some lower interest. As you know, interest rates are pretty low. So moving on to the expenditure side right now. So this is showing pretty much some different categories of our expenditures. We have a lot of people who work at the college. So salaries and fringe benefits are the largest part of our budget. So for next year right now, we are projecting that our expenditures overall will be about $166.6 million. Now I'm going to share some of the assumptions that went into our expenditure projections. Right now, this budget includes a 4.8% increase in salaries and wages. We also make adjustments to fringe benefits, and most of those adjustments are based on what we're expecting to happen to the cost of health insurance. So you'll see some percentage increases there. And like WPS, Arise, Quartz, GHC, Dean, those are the name of specific health plans that employees can elect to participate in. We also try to account for what we call salary and fringe savings, and we do that at 3%. That helps us account for the time that positions are actually vacant. We budget for every position we filled for the entire year, but we know that isn't the case. People move on to other jobs, people may retire. And so we try to capture that through that percentage. And so we keep that at 3%. And Sylvia also noted our contingency, and we budget that at 3% of the college's revenue. So that funding is available for emergency needs or anything else, unanticipated academic needs that may arise during during the fiscal year. So once we put those two numbers together and compare them, we have a deficit right now of about $5.1 million. And this was actually a month ago, so it has changed somewhat since then, because this is prior to when managers had submitted all their budgets, so it has increased a little bit since then. So I'm just sharing that context with you. This slide that we're sharing right now, we affectionately call the alligator because it looks like an alligator mouth kind of. And it's what we're showing here is what we're projecting for the next 10 years. And as you can see, we're projecting that expenditures are going to exceed our revenues over the next several years. However, we will balance next year's budget. And once we balance that budget, those two lines come closer together again, starting next year. So those balancing it does roll out into the future years when we look at it. And so one thing I do want to point out is we used to do this projection and we'd go out like 3 or 5 years, and it was actually like a $10 million gap. And now we're going out 10 years, and that's where we hit about that 10 million mark. So Joe, can I answer your question?
Yeah, thanks, Ben. I was just wondering if you could share, if you know, what are some of the main strategies we're going to use to try to shrink that deficit next year? You said we're going to balance the budget. Plan is to balance it next year. I was wondering if you knew the strategies.
I have a few strategies, and I'd like to share those with you. So one of the first things we're going to do is look at our revenue assumptions. For example, you know, if we are looking at enrollment, and we've heard some encouraging things potentially about spring enrollment. So maybe we can adjust the number of students that we're projecting for next year, which means we would have more revenue at least. Right now, my staff and I are in the process of reviewing all the budgets that have been submitted, and we're working with managers where we can to adjust those budgets, making sure they're taking into account the lower enrollment that we are projecting for next year to see if there's opportunities to reduce some requests. We continue to review our operations for efficiency. We also have if we would like, we could eliminate some positions or hold them vacant. That would also help the college save some money that would be put towards that deficit. And we also just need to make decisions too about what we're not going to do going forward, or if there's better ways to do things. So those are the things that we look at in order to address the deficit. So I think positive that probably answered your question, Joe. So I'm going to hand it back to Sylvia, and she's going to talk to you about the college's capital budget.
Thanks, Ben, and I apologize for turning off my camera and then reappearing somewhere else, but my children came home from childcare, so I needed to hide in a room with a locking door. To just briefly talk about our capital budget, so this is our borrowing history. So we borrow money very similar to the way a mortgage works. We borrow like a big chunk of money and we pay it back over time. Our historical borrowing was in the high $20 million. Now we're around $35 million. And then what we're going to do with that $35 million is mostly reinvest in our facilities through remodeling projects. We'll also do maintenance projects, which is less exciting, but still really critical, like making sure our chillers work and updating our HVAC systems. We also spend quite a bit of money on equipment, both in the technology realm, which is like replacing computers, server rooms, all of that stuff on campus. And then academic equipment, which is a lot of the equipment that you use in your classrooms, particularly if you're in like the School of Technologies and Trades. So in one of our, more equipment heavy programs, a lot of that funding goes that direction. Eric, you had a question?
Yeah, so with the esports coming in, is that more under academic and student equipment or technology projects? Since
That's a great question. We kind of funded that from a variety of sources. So we used some of our construction money. Some of it, I believe, came from the academic student equipment, and then some of it did come from technology. It was a very collaborative effort.
Ah, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. So in terms of what we're planning to do with that money, we are relocating the IT program from the health building to the first floor of the Truax main building. As part of that, we need to relocate the Center for International Education, although it won't be moving far, just sort of across the hall. The Honors Program office will be relocated to a more accessible spot within the TREX main building. We're also going to expand the administrative building, so where the president's office is, we're going to add a second floor to make space for folks who we're ending our lease at the Foundation Center that's across the street, and those folks are going to move over to the main building. That saves us quite a bit of money on our lease revenue, and so is a really good strategic decision for the long-term health of our budget. We're also expanding the access to nursing at the Watertown campus, which moves the full ADN program to Watertown and expands access to the practical nursing program at Fort Atkinson. At Fort, we're also increasing remodeling related to metal fabrication. If you haven't been out there, we put on an awesome addition for metal fabrication, which is open and students are using. And then we have a remodel project that will goes along with that. And then the only, I know we're running really short on time. Sorry.
I wanted to go over something with you.
I was wondering if anyone wanted to make a motion. Senator Jones, is that a motion?
Yeah, motion to extend.
How long would you like to extend it for?
5 minutes, or I guess 3 more minutes.
Sounds good. Do we have a second? Looks like, is that a second, Senator Chardelli? All right, all those in favor, please use the hand raising feature now and keep your hands up. All right, and that's the majority right there. So yeah, an additional 3 more minutes. So let's just put it at 5:25.
All right. So that's really all I had for you. We have an all-college, we did our all-college budget update in November. We're working through our final budget balancing, and then we have some statutorily required processes with our board that we have to get through before our fiscal year starts on July 1. And so it's a really exciting time for Ben and his team. And of course, we'll be back to talk to you several times within that window. And that's really all I had. Do you guys have any questions for us before we're out of time?
Questions? You know, I was hoping someone, Chuck Dilly, you'd have a couple more questions. Hence the reason why I suggested the motion to extend. Because now we have an abundance of time, it feels like.
2 minutes.
Well, it's 2 minutes. Silence for 2 minutes goes a long way. No one has any questions?
Well, we took some questions during.
That's true.
Well, and we're always happy to answer anything if it comes up. You can email Ben or me, or you can email budgetoffice@madisoncollege.edu.
All right, well.
Thank you.
Questions going once, going twice. Looks like if you either of you two don't want to hang out and stay with us, then I would say enjoy the rest of the Thursday evening. We super duper appreciate you coming by.
Thank you guys for your time.
Clap, everyone clap.
Thank you.
All right, super. That I believe concludes our public comments for this evening. Moving on down, officer and committee reports. Executive Council report. I did take notes here actually. So what happened at the Executive Council meeting yesterday? Well, I temporarily appointed VP Linder to the VP of Team Development. So that happened, and we congratulate her on that. So we're gonna try to see how she likes the position. And then we did GA planning obviously for today. And I think the biggest thing was that we did we looked at our 3-year plan again and did a little bit of a check-in to see how we were doing on the benchmarks that we had set, and if we were hitting them or if we need to adjust them, and how that really tied into this upcoming next semester and planning wise. So that's really what happened. And that concludes my report. So I'm going to move on down now. Admin and Finance, VP Shockey.
Yeah, no, no real substantive report other than we approved a club funding request for the Occupational Therapy Club. They attended a virtual seminar and wanted to be reimbursed for that, so we approved that request. And then other than that, kind of just discussed moving forward the end of the semester here, our plans for completing the 3-year plan, and just kind of break when we were going to meet and when we would start meeting again next semester. So.
Concludes the report. All right. Thank you, VP Shockey. Legislative Rules Committee is currently vacant. Team Development Committee, VP Linda, do you have a report?
I don't have a report, thank you.
All right, cool. Public Relations Committee, VP Lavella.
Yeah, so we are still continuing to plug away at creating ads for Senate coming up in spring. We'll have the election ads, town hall ads, and then we are also redesigning the brochure, and it's going very, very well. So I'm going to take this opportunity to thank my committee for their flexibility during this crazy finals time and really helping get a lot of stuff done. So we're going to be very prepared come spring.
Woo!
And that concludes my report.
All right, thank you, VP Lavella. You're excited for the brochure and all the work you've done. Special reports, advisory report with Advisor Rome.
I have only really one piece of business, and that is for you to complete this RSVP form if you are coming to the Student Leadership Retreat. Not a whole lot of people have filled it out yet, but I hope that all of you who can make it will be there. Is there a question?
Yeah, where was that again? Here?
Yes, so that is happening in this space and the big space right next to us at Truex on Monday, January 10th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. It will be super fun. We will feed you. You will meet other people. So please fill that out as soon as you possibly know that you're able to make it, but I needed a definitive number by December 20th, just to order catering and confirm our numbers with all the plans. So that's the big piece. And then the other one is just thanks for an awesome semester. I know it's been a lot of work and it's been a little weird, and yeah, we've really figured out this hybrid thing. I hope that all of you finish up the semester well and get a lot of rest over break. We all have been working really hard. That concludes my report.
Awesome, thank you, Advisor Rome. Student Activities Board, VP Shockey.
No report. Not met since last year.
No, thank you very much. Racial Equity Committee, Senator Konsinski.
So small report. I figure I will let you guys all know now. I am transferring this spring. I know there's like no formal thing on the agenda, but it relates to the Racial Equity Committee. So that does leave the position open for someone to take over as a co-chair or chair. I know we had really emphasized and wanted co-chair positions, but if anyone is interested, that'd be really great. It's definitely a committee I feel very passionate about and have loved leading with Mina, and then not with Mina, and it was a really fun and really great to meet some people through it. So we had our last meeting this past Friday, and really just navigating and trying to plan for the spring semester as we kind of turn a new page with the committee. And that's the end of my report.
All right, thank you, Senator Konsinski. Textbook Affordability Committee, President VP Shockey. Look at you.
I don't have a report. I mean, we heard a lot earlier. I meet next Monday.
I was going to say, we meet next Monday. That's all there was really to say. All right, cool. Public Safety Committee, Senator Willis. Oh, she's no longer in the meeting? Okay, all right. Well, we'll get back around to her later if she does come back. And moving on down, then regional and metro campus reports. Reedsburg is currently vacant. Watertown, Senator Linder, you have a report.
No report.
Yeah, well.
We didn't catch that when we adjusted the agenda.
Yeah. Portage, vacant. Port Atkinson, vacant. Goodman South, Senator Zhang, you have a report.
No reports.
All right, and moving on down, College Assembly. I know it's still Charles Jelly. He had school related, and so I will give this report and I took some notes here. So College Assembly, an Achieving the Dream update, what they've been doing, the subcommittees that they're planning on putting together, and all that jazz. Then moving on from the next bit was more of an HR thing. It was an updated performance review process for managers and more moving in the style of coaching. And then the academic, there was, I believe the individuals from the academic council, but it was a timeline adjustment, a new timeline structure. Instead of it being, this time I wrote it down, instead of it being a 10, every couple of years, every 3 years, it was one of them that they usually do adjustments on how they're going to do what they're going to focus on for the academic planning. Then COVID happened, so they had to restructure that. And so now they're just doing a new plan from this moment and for the next, I put down 5 years, I believe it was, and what that would look like. Ideally, and there was that, and then the academic plan prioritization. So that survey stuff that all the students and all of you filled out. I believe it was the second read, was it not? Was it that second read? The academic council, they did a second read for the.
That was the issue prioritization.
For the issue, yeah. Was that? Or was it not even? I know that they had said that.
They hadn't finalized their issues as a council yet.
Okay.
At the last meeting, so it was just presenting.
Okay, all right, cool. And then the DCRC, they did an update, again, prioritization stuff, but they did more of an update of just the fact that they have not yet finalized anything, and that they were, but they were moving in a direction. And that Mark Thomas will be temporarily taking Lucia's position until they have a new permanent diversity, equity, and inclusion vice president for the cabinet. So that is really what happened at College Assembly, and that concludes the College Assembly report. Then moving on down now to the Academic Council, Senator Zhang, do you have a report?
Yes, so in our most recent meeting, the highlight I would say is really just us approaching the conclusion of whether we should maintain or refine the credit, no credit policy, or just remove it entirely. Several factors from the past and newly raised ones are all being considered, such as potential long-term consequences or how exactly the policy might affect other organizations, guidelines such as the PDK, which relies on student GPA data to which the policy can also influence. But because we don't actually know how it will impact the future for all students, a solid position hasn't been really established yet. In fact, there's still much more to add, so we will be continuing a similar discussion again. And that's the end of the report.
Perfect. Thank you, Senator Zhang. And then Diversity and Community Relations Council, Senator Klonczynski, you report for us.
I have no report to give tonight.
All right, thank you very much. And I'm just going to say Facilities Planning and Investment Council, but I do not see Senator Willis back in this meeting as of yet. She may not be coming back, who knows where she does. Somebody let me know. So we can make sure we get back to her. The Finance Council, Senator Jones, you have a report for us.
No, we meet on the 14th.
All right, sounds good. Information Technology Council, Senator Zebel, do you have a report for us?
Yeah, nothing special. All we're really doing is editing the policies to more modernize them and better word them to our society's likings. Other than that, our next meeting is January 17th, I believe. Nothing special going on in that meeting, trust me.
All right. Thank you, Sarah Zebel. Then Institutional Effectiveness Council, VP Shockey, report from you.
No report, we meet next Wednesday.
All right, sounds good. Professional Development Council is currently vacant. Student Affairs Council, VP Labella, report from you.
No report. We meet next Friday, I believe.
All right, thank you very much, VP Labella. And then that concludes the reports. Then moving on down, old business items, constant contact bill vote. And I'm going to take lead the way for VP Labella.
Thank you. So you guys would have gotten a new updated copy in the email from VP Shockey yesterday with the agenda, but I will share it here and read it in its entirety for us to vote on tonight. Not much changed, really, just the amount and how we're gonna, well, not how we're gonna pay, but the frequency of which we're gonna pay. So this is Senate Bill number 5. To allocate $2,340 for a one-year membership to Constant Contact for the 2021 through 2022 academic year. I'll start at the formal motion, which was what I just said, to allocate $2,340 for a one-year membership to Constant Contact for the 2021-2022 academic year. The primary reasoning, whereas 1, Constant Contact is an online marketing company with tools that will be utilized to expand student awareness about Student Senate, Senate events, and other related information. And number 2, with the payments of $195 a month, the total cost will be $2,340 for 1 year. Number 3, Student Senate will send Constant Contact newsletters to all Madison College students, faculty, and staff. And number 4, Constant Contact will allow for a new way for Student Senate to reach Madison College students in a more interactive and efficient way. So the conclusion being, be it enacted by the Student Senate of Madison College Assembled that to allocate $2,340 for a one-year membership to Constant Contact for the 2021-2022 academic year. And I'm not sure if I'm supposed to take questions.
I believe we just go over into the voting now, because we talked about this at the last meeting, so we have a thorough discussion on it, for which there was not much, if any, discussion on it. So it seemed like everyone was pretty much okay with it, and here we are right now. So I'm gonna, obviously this is where we'll vote. This is some vote. So it's going to be a roll call vote. So VP Shockey is going to call up everyone's name and A, nay, or abstain. So let VP Shockey take it away.
All right. And these are only people that are here, so it won't be every senator's name. So VP Labella.
Aye.
All right. Myself, aye. VP Linder. I'm sorry, that was aye.
Aye.
Senator Ciardelli.
Aye.
Senator Jones.
Aye.
Senator Klonczynski.
Aye.
Senator Zebel.
Aye.
Senator Jang.
Aye.
Unanimous.
All right, awesome, all right. Good job, everyone, congratulations, woo! Okay, then, that wraps up that. Moving on down to new business items, and officer nominations. Are there any officer nominations that, we would like to address? VP Lavella.
I would like to nominate VP Lindert for a permanent position on the position of team development.
All right, and, I should say interim VPTD of team development to be more accurate right now. Do you accept, that nomination?
I do.
All right, and I think that one other thing that we missed was this was probably going to be reduced from 10 to like 5 minutes for this part right here.
You don't have to use the time.
Yeah. All right, so with that said, VP of TD, Linder, could you expand on some of the things, the qualifications that would make you suited for this position?
Next time.
Well, that's what I thought. It's a little weird that we had a 10-minute gap right there for something I thought would be the actual role, you know?
Just,
Well, we can just move on then.
don't have
All
to
right,
use the time.
never mind
Just the
anyone.
maximum.
So, no housekeeping items for non-business. And then moving on down to announcements. Obviously, we will not have any office hours next week or standing committees. If you, anything with shared governance, you're continued to please go to it unless if you cannot due to academics, that you please notify the appropriate person for those shared governance councils. Other than that, send all reports to Senator Zebel. Check Outlook, Teams, any notifications for me, Advise Rome, the E-Team. Our next meeting will be on the 20th of January. So the semester starts on the 18th of January for spring. Everyone did a great job, fantastic job. Super proud of everyone here. And then I wanted to, and hopefully it's only Senator Konstanski, because I'm not sure really bad if somebody else is leaving us. But I wanted to congratulate Senator Konstanski. We're very proud of you and transferring. That's great. We're super excited for what you're going to be up to next. And we know that we're going to see you on the news in no time. You won the Nobel Peace Prize or something of that nature, and we're rooting for you all the way. So, and I'll see you at the graduation on next Thursday if you're going to be there. So I'll be cheering you on. So other than that, anything else anyone want to say or do for the rest of this meeting? Maybe adjourn or something like that. Usually we're so quick. Senator Zhang, I saw that hand up. Is that a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Yes.
Motion's been made. Sarah Jones, is that a second? Yep. All right. All those in favor, please use the hand raising feature now and keep your hands up. And that's the majority. All right, this meeting has ended. Last one for the fall of 2021 at 5:44 p.m. Have a great holiday, everyone. Enjoy yourself and get some rest. We'll see you back here next year. Woo! I'll leave.
Have a good one, everyone.
Good job, Joe.
So I knew you were gonna be that guy to say, see you next year.
I didn't know.